Hello, everyone. Welcome to the May 21st council meeting. Thanks, everyone. We have a full house today, which is nice to see, especially given yesterday was really our meeting. So we had executive session at 6:30, and it was just to discuss personnel issues, no litigation, so we're all good there, and nothing bad with personnel, so no one in the home needs to worry. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Virginia, roll call.
Present.
Present. Present.
Here. Here. Present. Here. Here. Sorry about that.
Okay. Some community announcements and presentations. So the first thing we have is the Borough 2025 road paving program is scheduled to begin June 2nd. It's going to start in the first ward, and the engineer will give more details. Do you want to wait till it's your report, or? We might as well continue. Signs will be posted in advance of the start date, notifying residents when their road is to be completed, and the roads to be paved are listed on the borough website. If you want to talk about it, this is Kurt Schroeder, our engineer, who is spearheading the paving project.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here. Nice to see you all. I'll just give a quick kind of overview. I think everyone probably knows about the program, and the construction is going to start soon. Just a few things to be aware of. As Helen said, there will be notifications issued. Typically that comes several days in advance in the form of like signage or possibly on the doorknobs of your home to advise residents to clear the streets off. We do the best we can to get people to be aware of that, but pay special attention to it. Because if vehicles are present the morning of, we have no other choice other than to have those vehicles towed. So be mindful of that. We try to do the best we can. We'll work with the police department if that becomes an issue. And, we always try to plan for, but with weather and other, things that pop up, sometimes things change. So even if you see a sign that's been there for 2 days, pay attention on the third day. They might have changed the dates or things like that. So pay special attention to that. The one other update related to the road program that we wanted to provide you, and I provided each of the council members with a memorandum that we prepared just to document this, but we were notified by the MMA recently and after the award of the paving contract to JDM of their interest in putting in some additional scope into their water main replacement efforts this year. So there were actually 3 roads that overlapped, and if I can find my notes here, Hall Avenue, Anderson Avenue, and a portion of Baker Avenue are now going to have water mains replaced by the MMA. So they were originally in the contract with JDM. We're going to remove those roads from our contract to resurface the roads, but the MMA will, and they've agreed to, resurface those roads from curb to curb as part of their water main efforts. And what that does is it then frees up some budget that was otherwise assigned to those roads. And even just walking in here, talking with John later, we have some ideas for some other higher priority roads that didn't make this year's cut, but we may pivot and try to add those roads. So once we have that figured out, this is all kind of on rolling live feed here. We'll get the word out to the borough, get things posted on the website, and we'll keep you well informed as we finalize that modification.
Kurt, did the MMA say, are they doing Hall and Baker this year or next year?
Great point, and I glossed over that detail, but yes, they are planning on doing that work this year, and their work is scheduled to begin in July, and it will wrap up in October. So somewhere between July and October, those roads will have water mains replaced and be resurfaced.
So by the end of this summer, all those roads will be done. So just a couple won't be done by us.
Yes.
Any questions, council?
Yes, I have a question. Did you happen to mention, and I apologize if I missed it, about how long can a resident expect that their block per se or that sort of thing may be hindered?
Under construction. So that's a great question too. Usually the milling operations to remove the wearing surface, that block to block, street to street typically happens the same day. So that's like a one-day operation. We try to get the road resurfaced as close to that as possible. And in the contract, we limit that to 7 days before the contractor has to repave it. So that doesn't mean the road's going to be inaccessible for that duration of time. We should update and be aware of when the paving operation, which also should only last a day. Sometimes, they might end. They usually don't end mid-block. They usually go from like intersection to intersection. Now, with that said, we often chase the contractors. JDM's been great to work with. We've done a lot of paving projects with them throughout the county, but sometimes their milling operations get a little far ahead of the paving operations, or sometimes there might be something that gets unearthed, like a cracked utility or things like that, that we try to, before we pave this, close this in, let's get that taken care of. So that schedule can get extended and shift, or maybe it's they mill the first day and they pave the next day, and that's it. It sort of, as we move through, it depends. As they select their sequencing, their methods, their means and methods on how they attack the roads, but
So roughly a week.
Yeah, like I said, it has, and it can be extended
On average.
longer than that, but
Sure.
or it could be just like a 2-day in and out. It gets milled one day and paved the next.
And so the contractor is going to still mill those three roads that we talked about, but the MMA is going to resurface them, or are they going to also resurface? It's the MMA going to mill and resurface?
They'll mill and resurface.
Mill and
yes.
resurface.
Yes.
And so those funds that won't be placed there, I think at one time we had talked about curbs and how we needed to do the ADA curbing.
Curb ramps?
Right. Is that a part of discussions regarding those extra fees, or?
Not presently. The discussion right now is to supplement other roads that are in need to take their place.
All right.
Curb ramps, we are recommending that those be done annually, and there's other fund sources that perhaps they can be paid for through, like CDBG funding, for instance, is one of the fund sources. We work with the county to try to get curb ramps constructed. And I have another announcement later tonight about that topic.
All right. Just for refresh my memory, I think we mentioned with the CDBG that sometimes they like for us to have some sort of match. Or no?
CDBG can fund construction fully. It does not fund engineering.
Okay.
But sometimes we also don't get fully funded for construction. You might ask for an amount and they give you a little less or a lot less, depending on their overall countywide funding needs.
I'm not sure who's a part of that project and making those decisions, but I would like to put a plug in that we consider these funds go toward that curbing part of the project. Not all of them, but just, just in consideration, like, can we move it that way? Or if there were funds that we had to put toward those other projects, maybe doing that. Those other parts of the project, because it's all connected. And I remember you saying that it was ideal, or maybe it wasn't you, but someone who talked to us about this, that it was ideal to have the curbs done first, usually. So when you go curb to curb, that part's already done. So just something to consider.
Anybody else, council? Great, good news. Oh, go ahead.
Kind of a simple question. So after they mill it and they put the blacktop down, right, people might be itching to drive down their street. How long does the street stay closed for the blacktop to cure? How many hours? And also depending on how hot it is outside, if it's like the middle of July and it's like 100 degrees, how long does it take?
Yeah, that plays a role in the ambient temperature plays a role.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely hot, then it takes a lot longer for the asphalt to cool down.
What's the average cure time for the?
Normally they can be opened by the end of the day. In some cases, it might go till the next morning. And again, just with one thing I failed to mention too on the timeline and the work, there's also they tar seam the curb line.
Say again?
They'll put a tar seam to seal the curb line.
Right.
And they often clear the roads out for that to occur. If there's cars parked on the road, it's not feasible to do the curb sealing. So that could extend the time of closures or number of times the road's closed.
How are people going to be notified? They're going to have something tacked on their door, or telephone poles, both? Because somebody's going to say, I didn't know.
Happens all the time, no matter how well we try to inform, and the responsibility is on the contractor to put the signage out and door hangers or whatever methods they choose, but
Like the big milling machine, like that doesn't give anything away,
it's inevitable. There will be, we get frantic phone calls, 6:30 in the morning, cars are parked, it's just, you do the best you can, and that's all you can do in that circumstance.
Anyone else? Fantastic, good news. And do you know what street they're going to start on? You might not.
We'll probably start getting that schedule, I would think, as early as next week, because
Okay.
the date's approaching, yeah.
Yeah, great. I do know, just for my neighborhood, Hill and Lenora and Bowling Green and Jesse will not be done because the MMA needs to do it. I don't exactly know when they're going to do it, but those roads won't be done this year. They will be done, just maybe not this year. All right. Well, you'll be back.
All right.
Next is Barry Isett, Bill Pagel. He has an update on the Stockham building, which I know everybody is waiting with bated breath to hear about, and the rental registration program. Welcome, Bill. And Courtney, right?
How you doing? So the Stockham building, I'll just go through the timeline of what we got going on. So on April 28th, we received the engineer report from the owners, the Rateem Group. The 7th, we received the report from the Gilmore Associates, the borough's engineers. Both reports deemed the building unsafe. Certain areas are a little dangerous. On the 8th, we met with the owners here at Borough Hall, went over getting them to come up with an action plan or to do the structural repairs on the site. I went out that day, did a site report, or a site visit, also did a written report verifying what the two engineer reports stated. On the 9th of May, the perimeter fence went up, blocking the sidewalk on Pennsylvania and West Bridge, going around to the rear of the building, blocking the rear entrance as well. On the 13th, an email went out to the owners as well as a certified letter stating that they have 30 days to come up with an action plan to either do the structural repairs or demolish the building. We're working to track down the owners of the cell towers because they have an easement agreement on the roof with the cell tower providers.
Could you just explain that a little bit more to the residents? Because I know there's an easement, but just so the residents understand what the issue is.
So what it basically is the cell tower companies, in a sense, own the roof. The owner of the building doesn't. Yeah.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, we didn't find this out until the day of the meeting.
Yeah, so if the cell towers come down, somehow the owners have to put the cell towers back up because there's a lease for those cell towers and they are going to get they're going to lose their income from that cell tower. So it's they, right? It's not the borough.
It's they.
Yeah, it's they. They need to put, either like the pole with the cell tower that can rest on it, or they need to find another place to put it. But those cell towers can't just be taken away.
So the issue is we're trying to track down the owners of. We know the contractors who did the work. I believe there's 4 up there, and possibly not all of them are in service. So some may just be able to come down if need be.
Oh, good to hear.
But like I said, it's tough tracking down who owns it. I confirm with Mike that the owners are aware of the action, that they have 30 days for an action plan. That was basically went into effect on the 13th when the certified letter went out. And as of now, there's no plan. We haven't heard from them.
No plan.
No plan. So.
Okay, so the building will either be repaired or.
So during the meeting, that's what was discussed. So they either have to do the structural repairs that were recommended by their engineer and also kind of recommended by Gilmore Associates, or it comes down.
Is there a timeline on their decision?
They have 30 days. So 30 days from May 13th, they have to come up with a plan. They either have to submit for permits and plans for structural repairs, or they have to submit for a permit for demolition.
I know that's sad news for everyone, but the building's in really bad shape. So I don't really have much more to say on that topic.
We did a walk. The mayor did a walk on Sunday, and we happened to walk past it. It is very, very sad. The building is a mess. The fencing, it even looks like you can still get back there, get up those steps. It's such a shame. I mean,
And also kudos to council as well for not allowing this to continue on like the building has been for the past 25 plus years, and that's why it's in the state it is today. So holding them accountable and getting them to actually move on this property. We stuck to that timeline that was given to them back in the fall. And sadly, this is where we're at, but we have to do what's right for the building, for the residents. Walking through it is a hazard, and it's just going to cost a fortune. So I'm guessing they're going to bring it down, but again,
Just a guess.
right, it is a guess, but I would love for it to stay because it is a beautiful building, and those top windows, the curved, and how they said they were going to restore those was so beautiful. But again, we have to do what's right. But kudos to council for putting the pressure onto that owner and sticking to it.
Yeah, so the residents also know Mr. Dillon arranged lots of meetings with the owners, with our code, who's standing before us, with State Senator Steve Sanacero, with Rep. Propropiak. There were the county, there was the RDA, the IDA was there. IDA is the Industrial Development Corp. Who else was there? Just the county clerk was there. There were a lot of people there, and since August, we've been putting pressure on the owners to do something. And I guess we're coming to the end where they will have a decision.
Yeah.
Anybody from council have any further questions?
3 weeks, whatever it might be, who pays for the demolition, us or them?
That's a good question. We're not sure of that. It may come down with the borough, but if they'll be billed for it, I'm not sure. We don't know that yet.
Okay, thank you.
I just have, we heard that report last year and it seemed so positive and kind of enlightening that we could actually save this beautiful historic building. I put a lot of faith in those people to do, and then we didn't see anything happen. So this is incredibly devastating news for all of us. And I know you are feeling the same way. So, yeah.
It is. I mean, they came here to a council meeting and they gave the architectural drawings. So, all of us were very excited to see that there would be some movement. And actually, I anticipated that by this time, there would be renovations being made. So to have heard last time we met that this was going to have, or possibility of happening, it is devastating. No one else?
I'll just say that I hope that the current owners find some way in recouping what they can, because let's not forget that as an investor, and we look at that term and we go, oh, investor, they don't care, but investors care. They're just purchasing something, and these folks did have a good plan, and they're potentially upside down in this. So I hope that they find something in that, and I hope they don't hear, when we say we're devastated to hear that it has to come down, we recognize that they were trying to put something in that would have been very nice for Morrisville. And we're not saying that we're disappointed or devastated in the fact that they personally aren't doing it. We know they were trying to do something great for Morrisville.
Okay. Do you want to talk about the rental registration program?
Hello.
Thank you, Bill.
Yep.
So for the rental update, we've got roughly 40 to 50 inspections scheduled. A few closeouts have taken place. I did start sending out about 200 emails. It's like a blanketed email that kind of introduces myself, depicts our availability times for scheduling. It gives hint to allowing the tenant or representative to contact me directly. It provides my phone number. I attach the checklist that's referenced during the time of the inspection onto the email. We did have some property owners that did not list their email on the application. So for those, I did start trying to give some phone calls, and a lot of the feedback we were having were questions about what we're going to be taking a look at. Essentially, it's things such as like labeled electrical panels, blanks in the electrical panels, storage in the water heater if it's gas appliance, screens and holes in the screens, loose railings, smoke detectors and carbon monoxides, fire extinguishers, and other things. The list that I provided is pretty grandiose, but it's an overarching list for us to reference during the inspection. There's a lot of different types of homes, 2 stories, twins, so it can't encompass everything, and it's not specific to certain properties. So it does have to be a blanket kind of inspection checklist. We are allowing 5 business days for photo corrections to be sent. This is something that obviously there's some failures that cannot be corrected through photos, such as loose railings. A photo can't depict that railing is no longer loose. And it's ultimately the scope of the failures and what is there. The report is left with whoever's there at the time of the inspection. So whether that's the tenant or the representative, they should report it back to the landlord or the property owner. And at that point, make a plan on the corrections. If the photos aren't sent, a reinspection fee is applied. At that point, a reinspection would be scheduled within 30 days. So if you are listening, please respond to my email and give me a phone call so we can get you on the schedule. We are booking out about 2 to 3 weeks now as our inspector's schedule is getting full. If you have multiple residential properties that you're the property owner of, a suggestion would be maybe getting one scheduled so that way you can kind of have an understanding of what the rental inspection will look like, and from those failures kind of garner an insight on what these other properties, could be corrected prior to us coming out. if whatever you would want to do ultimately is your choice. Again, the tenant can reach out directly to me. And any questions?
The properties that you had to close out, were people living there?
Yes, there were some.
How does that work?
So,
In other words, do they have to vacate?
no, closed out means we closed the permit out and a rental license was issued.
Okay,
So-
because I misunderstood that, and that's what I was, okay.
The closeouts in reference that the inspection has taken place, the corrections were made, and the rental license was issued to the property owner.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have I'm putting you on the spot. You may not have the number, so don't worry about it. Do you have an idea of how many residential rental homes Morrisville has? You don't know, that's
I
fine.
did have the numbers last time, but right now, I think on my Excel spreadsheet, I have about 275 units that were submitted for rentals. So I've been keeping track of my contact date of when I reached out, and in recourse, after a certain time span has gone by, there will be a secondary reach out, and that will be documented as well. So we do encourage the initiative to reach out to me and respond to the email. But yes, there is still rentals coming in at the time. I believe that there was another letter sent out for requests for, a response to that rental.
Thank you.
Hey, Courtney, just in the lieu of transparency and giving the information to the people here, the checklist is downstairs, correct, in the borough? Like if they
believe
wanted to
so.
see a sample of
Yeah.
what they're going to be inspecting?
Yeah, and if not, Lorraine or Jenna can print it out for you at the time. I've been attaching it as PDF onto the email. If I did send the email without the checklist, please respond and let me know, and I'll send it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Courtney.
Virginia, it's downstairs, right? So it's downstairs. As soon as you walk in, there's a, plexiglass kind of filing system with a display with all different forms. And the checklist is in there, right?
And if anyone's confused with what they're looking for or what they need, they can always ask.
And Virginia said if anybody is confused and can't find what they need, just ask the office. Thank you, Virginia.
You work in multiple municipalities, correct?
Yeah.
Is anything that we're doing here, what you're doing with this, anything different than other municipalities?
Not from my experience. The difference here is the 5 business day correction option. That is done because this is a new experience for the municipality or the borough, and it's unclear of what the expectations are for the rental program. So we're giving that opportunity this year to kind of get everyone familiar of what the necessities are and what requirements we're looking at. That's really the only difference I see for most of them.
Anyone else?
So Courtney, great point with saying that checklist was very long, and I'm pretty impressed on how you did hit like 5, 6, maybe even 7 of them. Right, each property is going to be different. You don't have to check each checkbox to get those license set up for owners, right?
Correct.
Right.
It's just something for us to reference if we are uncertain of it, not uncertain, that's not a bad word. Every apartment or unit is very different. Some have electric appliances, which negates the storage in that area. There's other ones that have gas appliance, which changes CO2 requirements. So things kind of, it's just something to reference and so to be aware of, and the knowledge on that checklist is something also as a property owner and a tenant to apply and take a look at in your space. A lot of this is if you don't know, you don't know. So part of this program this year is and just let you know, because fire hazards, they're not in your face screaming fire hazard until the flames are there. So being informed is the biggest portion for this year's annual rentals.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. And that's why if residents have questions, the best person to reach out to is actually Barry Isett and Courtney, because there are things that are specific to certain homes or not, depending on what's going on. And we might give the council, if you ask us, might give a general answer, which may be wrong, correct?
Yeah, and the inspector on site for the inspection would do a good job of relaying what corrections or what avenues to take to eliminate that hazard. And he will also provide you avenues to contact him as well if you have any questions on repairs or anything like that. But yeah, you can always give me a call, and if I can't give you the answer in the moment, I will take your email or take your phone number and get you an answer as soon as I get an answer, because if I don't know, I want to be informed. So it's just a learning opportunity for me.
Okay, great. Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you.
All right, next is a very exciting, we have a presentation by Imagine Morrisville given by Tom Wisnowski, and I see there's a lot of Imagine Morrisville people here. Do you want your names read out?
Sure. Sure, stand up if you're part of us.
So Jane Berger is here,
Stand up.
Ellen Wisnowski, Audrey McNulty, Kurt Kelly, no one else?
That's it for now.
Oh, I'm sorry, because I'm looking out in the audience. Melissa Johnson is a, what's the word, liaison to Imagine Morrisville. She's part of the group as well. So they're doing some exciting things. Tom, take it over.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, Madam President, members of council, Mr. Manager, Mr. Solicitor, thank you for giving me a couple of minutes here. I promise to keep it under 3 hours. We do have something going on that's pretty exciting, and we have all been waiting a long time to be able to tell you a little bit about it. I want to tell you who Imagine Morrisville is, because we're not really as well known as some other groups in town. We started together a few years ago, before COVID, I don't know, maybe 6 years, something like that. And our intention back then was that we wanted to figure out ways to promote the positive aspects of Morrisville. We weren't really sure how to do that, but we knew that we wanted to do it because we didn't feel like, we felt like there was a lot of negative and not a lot of positive. In fact, our slogan is accentuate the positive, and if you look on your swag, you'll see that that's right there below the logo. Those are for you to wear proudly. So anyway, we spent a couple of years together just sort of trying to figure out what that meant. One of the things we did was we got in touch with Bill Pezza in Morrisville Borough, who Bill was the main driver behind the Raise the Bar movement, which is partly responsible, I don't know if largely is the correct term, but for the turnaround in Morrisville Borough. And there are a lot of factors involved, but Bill was really very helpful. And in fact, we were sitting with Bill at dinner one night, and we came up with our name, Imagine Morrisville, and he said, I wish we would have thought of that first. But anyway, so we were trying to figure out how do we go about doing this. So the first thing that we did was we figured let's sponsor a couple of events. So we started doing this thing down at the shopping center, Very Morrisville Christmas, 4 years now, I think, including a rain out. We also started to work with the National Night Out program for a couple of years. But what we decided was that while it's good to have that kind of a public presence, being an event sponsoring group isn't what we were really about. We're going to continue to do those things, at least for the near future. But so what do? We started looking at surrounding communities, communities that were successful and that were thriving and that were growing. Not that we wanted to be like any of these communities, but we thought that maybe we could model what we're doing after some of the initiatives. And one of the things that we noticed about a lot of these communities is that they are all very involved in the arts, in tourism, in dining, and culture. Tourism, bringing people in. And one of the things that we noticed as we dug further is that if you look at all these communities around us, all of these communities embrace the arts in a very big, very intentional way. If you look, for example, Newtown has a theater that is packed all the time. The Bristol Riverside Theater is probably the #1 thing that sparked the turnaround in downtown Bristol. It took a long time. The Bucks County Playhouse in New Hope, the Keswick Theater in Glenside, the Sellersville Theater, and on and on and on. And as we looked even further into it, what we have been learning is that there are thousands, literally, I think the technical word is jillions of case studies, not just theoretical studies, but real studies that point to if communities embrace the arts as and embrace tourism in conjunction with the arts, that it has a direct and profound positive effect on not only the downtown areas of a community, but on the community as a whole, both in bringing people in, spending money, and also in image, the larger image. So we decided that our efforts should involve trying to make Morrisville an arts-centric town. Now, we're still not quite sure what that exactly means, but we've been able to make a really positive step just in these last couple of weeks. We were able to raise enough money to hire a consultant from New York. The name of the consultant is the DLR Group. And the DLR Group has just begun a 6-month, very intensive study period here in Morrisville. Started about 2 weeks ago, I guess. We had a kind of a kickoff site visit with them. They are looking at everything that you can imagine in terms of what it would take for Morrisville to become a real arts-friendly, arts-centric, arts-encouraging town. Some of the things that they're looking at are community engagement. They're reviewing all of the old planning, the studies, all those studies that are in the vault down in the borough office that no one ever looks at. They're reviewing all of those things. Market analysis, competitive analysis, user demand, partnership opportunities, benefits and impacts of this kind of activity on the borough. That study is expected to take about 6 months. So we are expecting, well, we'll get an update around probably mid-summer. And then the rest of it should be wrapped up September, maybe something like that. Now, we don't know where this is going to go. We're just putting one foot in front of the other right now, and we're very hopeful. We're thrilled that we were able to raise the funds. This is a $60,000 study, so we were excited to be able to raise that money, partially with help from our state senator and state representative, which was wonderful. We thank them profusely. The range of possibilities is quite wide. On one end, they could come back and say, "Yeah, don't do that. Do something else." I don't expect that, but we have to consider that. And then there's a whole spread of possibilities, with the wildest and most far-fetched being, well, you guys should build a 10,000-seat amphitheater and start having, world-class rock concerts. I don't think that's going to happen either. But so I'm just saying that there's a whole lot of possibility. The big point is that we've actually been able to start. And we're happy with that. We're proud of it. That's why we're here in support tonight. There are a couple of things that are really important. I want to make sure everyone's listening really carefully, because thing number one is, because this is a private venture. It's not, we're not a public organization. So we are not going to ask local government for anything in terms of funding. We don't really intend to ask for any concessions. We're going to do this. We're going to do this in other ways. All we're asking from local government and really the community is enthusiastic support, and maybe some resources, but nothing, we're not going to come with a handout for you. Thing number two, and this is, make sure everyone's listening, no matter what it is that ends up happening with this, we've already let everybody know that it will not involve the park at all. We've been around the block too many times with that one to even Okay.
And that includes Patriots Park, right?
That
No
includes-
amphitheater at Patriots
It
Park.
includes Patriots Park. No parkland will be injured in whatever this harebrained scheme is that we're going to do. So you won't. There won't be a lot to tell for a while. Just so you know, you won't be hearing from us regularly. There'll be no reason. When we know a little bit more, we'll let you know. And then I'm assuming that we're going to have to raise some serious money, and that's going to take some serious time. So this is not an overnight thing. It's going to be a process, but we're totally committed. We've been together for several years now. We're not going away. And I'll be back in touch when we have something to be in touch with about. But we just wanted you to know.
And let the public know.
And let the public know. So just imagine the possibilities.
Oh, nice.
Thank you very much. I'll be glad to entertain questions.
Questions, anyone?
I do. A few years ago, we all met with the Morrisville Economic Development Corporation. We talked about how we can change the image. And so this is really exciting that you guys are taking it to the next level. I'm anxious and supportive of your ideas, and I think it's going to be a great addition to this town. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I think part of this idea came out of those meetings because we then took that back to our group and talked about it.
Yeah, we talked about getting a consultant and all that. So thank you.
Yeah, sure. No, you're welcome. I mean, we're thrilled to be able to do it. And we are, working with the EDC on this. They're aware. They've been aware from the beginning and are very supportive. So that's great. Robin and company have been wonderful. So that's good. Any other questions?
No question, just a comment. So first, thank you, Imagine Morrisville, and what you're doing, Tom. And when we sat down and talked about this a few weeks ago, I was super excited about it, and I just think it's a right fit for Morrisville. I love it. I'm going to be as enthusiastic as I can for it. I'm a big cheerleader. I met with the consulting group, and we had one of the best conversations. It lasted an hour. It was me and three other of their team members, and it was so exciting just to hear the possibilities of what we can do here in Morrisville, and it's exactly what we need to keep us moving forward. So thank you so much. You have my support fully.
Thank you.
And when I met with the consultants, not the consultants, the architect, I guess they're consultants.
Consultants, yeah.
Yeah, they were actually very enthralled with Morrisville. They couldn't believe the amount of enthusiasm that people had for the town, and they were very excited to work with Tom and his group. So you have my support, you know that, and I'm assuming that everyone on council is good. I hate to put all of you on the spot, but I'd like for everyone.
If you're not, that's all right. We'll convince you. It's all right.
You have my support.
They did do a site visit about 3 weeks ago, and it was hilarious because Zach, who's a member of our board, Zach Mann, lent us the church bus. And we did a church bus tour of Morrisville, which was hilarious, but it was really fun.
The hilarious part was the driver. I don't know.
He's got to be replaced.
Tom was the driver for everyone.
I was, yeah. I'm sorry. Apologize. So.
Driveway.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it.
No, thank you so much. We're excited. I'm very happy that everyone in the group of Imagine Morrisville is doing this. It's exciting. It's you guys have a lot of innovative ideas. I know you got a long road ahead of you, and especially in the fundraising. But keep us informed when you have fundraisers so that we can help promote it.
Oh, you will know.
Okay.
There will be information on imaginemorrisville.com, which is finally going to be up and running.
And we have Facebook.
Today. What?
Facebook.
And Facebook. And Instagram.
And what is the Facebook page, Imagine Morrisville?
I don't know.
It's Imagine Morrisville.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Okay.
It
checking.
is.
Yes.
Imagine Morrisville.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Okay, now back to business after that exciting speech. We're going to talk about the update on the senior center parking lot. So I think everyone knows that we had to close it off, portions of it, because it was sinking. And we had a meeting a number of months ago to talk about with the county about the parking lot, and I guess Kurt, you're going to come back right up to the podium, and so then we went to the senior center last week just to explain to the seniors so that there was no misinformation about what is going on with the parking lot, and we promised them that we would come back and give them updates as needed. So again, here's Kurt Schroeder from Gilmore Engineers to talk about the senior center parking lot.
Thank you. I'll give a background on our experience with the parking lot. Is we went out there at the request of the borough to look at the condition of it, and it's, I would say, deplorable. I mean, it's one of the worst parking lots I think I've seen in my career. It looks like a mogul field on a ski slope, and at the time it was kind of like, well, who owns it? Who's responsible for it? That was literally our starting point with it. So we did a little research and had realized that the senior center was sold to the county for $400,000, and there was a blanket lease created on the parking lot, which was ownership retained by the borough as part of the overall Cloverleaf parcel that said, the borough's to provide parking for the senior center. There was no indication of who's responsible for its upkeep and its maintenance. So I would say, hindsight, that's a pretty lousy deal for the borough to have made. But here we are. So, it didn't also say exclusively that the borough had to maintain it. It didn't say the county had to share in the cost to maintain it. It was kind of silent, but you could interpret it either way. So we reached out to the county, and we'd shut off some of the areas of the road, of the parking lot, and we said, hey, we want to collectively do something here. And they said they already had plans to do a little bit of work too, more on the senior center side of the property. But we got our heads together with them. We paused their planned project because we had to take a deeper look into this. And we haven't done a lot of investigation, but we did look back through aerials, and it appears as if the landfill extended up into the area of the parking lot. Hence why there's such massive settlement, that's occurred there. So it's not just a mill and overlay type project. This is a full-blown reconstruction, and we have to make sure we're addressing the subsurface of it, and that's going to require some type of ground improvements before you can even reconstruct the parking lot. So, fortunately, council has a great relationship with the commissioners. They have a great relationship with the county staff, and they suggested to us that we apply for a CDBG grant application for this. And we have great news to announce that while it's not official, they have told us that the commissioners have blessed the support of this grant, and they are now waiting for HUD, the funding source, Housing and Urban Development, to approve the funding, and then commissioners can approve the project, and then they can officially award the borough $715,000, which is very significant. And we don't know if that number is the right number. We have a pretty good idea. We've done projects like this in the past where you have to, for lack of a better way of explaining it, sort of float the vehicles on top of whatever's going on underneath it. And it's whatever's underneath it has settled over time. So maybe it's found its equilibrium there. But it'll require some geotechnical investigations and some design and calculations and all. So that funding, we believe, is only going to cover the construction cost. So there's, like I just explained, decent amount of engineering for something kind of specialized there. But the county had planned on doing some work already, and they have some ARPA funding left over. So if this gets formally approved, we intend to sit back down with them and figure out if somehow perhaps the county can partner with the borough to help offset even some of that engineering cost as well. This also, nothing's easy in Morrisville.
No.
This dovetails into the to the Cloverleaf site itself. It's all one parcel right now, the parking lot and the land that's intended to be redeveloped. Matter of fact, the borough even issued the permit for the site remediation of that larger piece. But in working with the RDA and the agreements that was drafted by the Flagler Associates, the RDA is going to do some testing for environmental on the parking lot portion that would be retained by the borough, even after the potential redevelopment of the Cloverleaf site. So even if there are environmental remediation requirements for the parking lot area owned by the borough, we're certain that the developer would have to remediate the environmental aspect of it. So maybe they can help contribute. There's some funding that might be left over from the RACP grant that's financing the remediation of the Cloverleaf site. So a lot of moving parts. Nothing's easy. This is complicated. It's like trying to just put a puzzle together and move it forward. But, you know, with Mr. Dillon's help and Helen, you know, always championing stuff like this is a really positive thing. And the goal would be to have a modern, safe, ADA accessible parking lot, and then work with the county to figure out if there's a way to, now that it's an improved parking lot, it'd probably be a little more palatable to get them to, you know, help to maintain it going forward.
Yeah, that's great news.
I know that your associate came in and did a great job at the senior center. It was excellent. But what was the timeline that they thought that could start?
So we don't know yet. I mean, HUD
Right, because you don't have the grant yet.
They typically,
I was there for that meeting, so the man from the county, I know we initially talked, Mr. Dillon, if I'm speaking out of turn, you can correct me. We were saying that maybe by next summer, the parking lot would be done, but he seemed to think they could fast track a couple things and they would begin this summer. But there's no promise there. It's just, you know, some timelines for us.
Okay, I'd heard something, but I wanted to make sure I was clear on that, so thank you. Thank you for that.
and just one other little tidbit I think is important to mention. I looked up what was spent to apply for the grant for this, because it matters, right? Like, that's the money that comes out of the local coffers. It's $4,400. So to turn $4,400 into $715,000, maybe more, you know, that's a no-brainer. And you own this parking lot. It's an asset that needs to be fixed. It's a responsibility to the seniors and to the borough at large. So I think that you couldn't ask for a better result. You should all be very proud of that effort.
I think that's great, especially we just are putting together this beautiful park that, you know, we want to have easy access and safe access in the parking lot for families to enjoy this new addition to our first ward. So I agree.
And the other thing I just need to mention is the county sees the ability for this borough and this council to get these projects to the finish line. And that matters a lot, because this money, you have to assign it to projects that you know that they can be real, that can be executed on, because that's a negative to the county. If they go to HUD and they get funding and the funding sits around and, you know, sits on the shelf and expires, that's, you ask for them to fund something in the future, they'll hesitate. So it's good momentum, it's good positivity, and I think it's a wonderful project.
As long as you're there, it's not on the agenda, but yesterday, I know last week we had a lot of rain, so the Manor Park Playground, which is right next to the parking lot, was delayed, but they started putting it up. So Kurt, do you want to talk about that?
Good segue into that one, which was next on my list. Yeah, again, you know, the playground's been talked about for a number of years, funded through a CDBG program, you know, finally coming to fruition. Again, nothing's easy in Morrisville. We got the grant. It covered the cost for construction, and design wasn't completed yet. Don't complete design maybe until you get the grant, you know. So we started the design. We surveyed. There was a underground pipe that drained from Cleveland through the site and toward the rink in the back there, and I said, oh, wow, that's right in the way of the playground, and it's an older pipe. So we cameraed, MMA helped out, came out and helped camera the line, televise it, see what's going on underneath there, and it was blocked and we couldn't access, but we didn't have enough funding to replace the whole pipe. So we said, let's at least replace the pipe that's going to go underneath the playground while we're there. So that was part of the original scope of work, but as the contractor got in there, got to see more excavating underneath it, the pipe from the playground down to the rink was just completely silted in. And we don't know this for certain, but it looked like where the rink is and how it was constructed, they might have driven a post right into the pipe that everything kind of then backed up. So went to the contractor, said, hey, we need to install this pipe. Can you give us a change order request to do that work? And it was $53,000, which we didn't have any funding for. So fortunately, I'm working with the manager. We went back to the county and said, hey, you guys are paying for the construction of this, and we had this arise during the design. Can you help us? And we found out this week that they can, and that they've pledged that extra funding to help make us whole and to get this project done the right way the first time. So that's up for council's consideration to authorize that change order, knowing that the funding has been pledged by the county.
Which is great.
It is.
It just shows how much confidence they have in us to get this done. Yeah. And Kurt, just so the public knows, this wasn't just a little pipe that went through. This is one of those big 4-inch, 6-inch, whatever.
Bigger than that.
Yeah. Oh, it's bigger than that.
It's
Oh.
12 or 15-inch storm drain pipe.
No, but the pipe that went through it.
Oh, yeah, the post and yes.
Yeah, the post that went through it wasn't just like one of those little fence posts. It was that corner, thick, wide
Gotcha, yeah.
post that was drilled into our sewer drain.
How long ago was that post put through the drain? Any idea?
I have no idea. I don't know.
I have another question for you. This is going to be a pretty tough one for you to answer, but you're good. You've said several times tonight that nothing is easy in Morrisville. This is a two-part question. Why isn't it easy, and is there a solution to possibly in the future make things easier in Morrisville?
So what I mean by that is, look at the Stockham building, right? I mean, that it has cell towers on top of the lease. I mean, what a difficult situation that is. It just seems things like that arise with like, why is it so difficult to do a project? Why does it cost so much to do a project? Why does it take so long to do a project? And maybe it's just indicative of an old borough, old infrastructure. People don't necessarily know where their property lines are. Things that have been in the ground for so long. Not documented. Compared to like a Levittown where it's all planned and documented and constructed new. So that's what I mean by saying everything's difficult in Morrisville. And what can you do about it? I don't know, bring in experts like our manager that knows how to navigate those difficulties. And when things get tough, you just double down and plow through it. And that's what is happening right now.
They did plow through with that pipe right through that
No pun was intended, but
drainage thing.
Yeah. And just so the residents know, like that 53,000 would have been a cost to the borough. And, with Mr. Dillon's help, the county turned that around and donated, well, not donated, but they approved it for us so that we could fix everything. And then the borough now no longer has that cost. It's fantastic news. So kudos to everyone that worked on that.
And like you said, I mean, it's going up. Go check it out. It's already starting to look amazing.
Yeah, the playground looks amazing. So, yeah, so it looks, if it wasn't raining, they told me, I talked to the contractors and they told me that if it hadn't rained today and tomorrow, they would have been done.
Wow.
So the other, and just so everyone else knows, Reldon presented a check to the borough for $50,000 as a donation to the park so that we could actually do a little bit extra instead of just having the grant funding.
So on Manor Park, now that we're kind of, knock on wood, getting to the finish line here, I went back real quick and looked at what's the borough's out-of-pocket costs. You know, we talked about the grant for the parking lot, and now we don't know yet what the design costs are going to be. But let's talk about Manor Park Playground and what the total costs were there. So we had grant applications, you know, the seed money to get the thing rolling, and then we got the grant money that came in, and the engineering was not covered. So you had to cover the engineering. And we had originally said, because CDBG, it's a lot of, you know, it's HUD funding, federal funding. There's a lot to it. Public bidding, you know, all that. But we quoted 50. We're going to come in under 50. We're hovering around like a little over 40,000 right now. That includes a grant application.
That's great.
Total project cost is going to be around 400, maybe a little bit more. So you're turning 40 grand out of pocket in a $400,000 playground. That's a 10-to-1 return. And we've done some presentations long ago about, look, shoot your shots at grants. You know, you can get a 10-to-1 return on your money by doing that. You have to give playground. You have to have a parking lot. You have to pay for all these things. And if you're paying for a playground out of pocket, then maybe you don't have the money to finance a road program. But you have to pave your road. So it's really great, positive progress that we've been happy to be a part of with you guys.
And just so everyone else knows, you can't do anything without an engineer anymore. Nothing. Like if there's any project that you need, the engineer has to okay it, look over the plans, make sure that everything's in order, that it's to specs. I mean, I can go on. I'm sure you can do a better job, Kurt.
That's kind of how you don't end up with 6-inch pipes into other pipes.
Right.
And some sort of cell tower on top of a historic building. That's how you don't end up with that sort of stuff.
Well, I'm a little confused about this. This is just off topic now, but the Stockham building is what I understand how it all happened was that they I can't say the word. Yes, thank you, Melissa. My understanding of it is that you have to come to the borough and get approval, and that was never done, and that's how that building became what it is. So
Everything is supposed to go through zoning.
Yeah.
And council and then zoning, or the other way around, but certainly getting approval. You can't legally create a condo otherwise.
Right. So when Kurt says everything's difficult, it's also because people were, I'm not saying asleep at the wheel, but not paying attention. Anybody have any other questions for Kurt? No? Okay. All right, Kurt.
Do you want me to go through the last one, or?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah. So do you want to just finish up and we'll skip you for the engineer report as long as you're here?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead. The floor is yours.
The other thing that happened within the last 30 days since the last meeting was we were reached out to by Congressman Fitzpatrick's office about all these acronyms. I need to look this one up. It's Community Partnership Fund. I think that's what it is. CPF funding. And it's a congressional appropriations funding. Kyle from Congressman Fitzpatrick's office said, can we help Morrisville Borough? You know, not in a little way, in a big way. Yeah, this is, we're talking millions of dollars, you know, that we're trying to find projects for. So don't give us a $250,000 project, $500,000. That's not what this program is. This is congressional appropriations funding. Can you come up with a project like that? And, you know, small borough, we don't have large parcels, you know, we said, well, what if we kind of Frankensteined a project together and sort of, like we have roads that we need to pave. We have traffic signals that haven't been updated for a long, long time. We have traffic calming issues throughout the borough. We have We have drainage issues and failing infrastructure associated with that. And unfortunately, like other state grant programs have been around for a long time to upgrade traffic signals and, other funds that have helped to pay for some, but the infrastructure in the borough is sort of like below standard and across the board. So we sort of put together, because we had to submit it by yesterday. That's why this is coming to you now. We didn't have a meeting in between. And it's a small effort, relatively small effort. It's not a huge grant application. It requires a whole lot of legwork, but we submitted a $10 million appropriations request to the congressman, and they don't have a lot of projects that they submit. There's no guarantees the funding will be released. Who knows what's going to happen, with the federal budget and whether or not the funding will come, back home here to Bucks County or not. But the application included, trying to address safety and we threw in all the curb ramps too, talking about the curb ramps at the intersections. You pave the roads, you're supposed to upgrade the curb ramps. If we could secure that funding to just borough-wide, that would set the borough's finances in a totally different trajectory. So, fingers crossed, it's formally submitted. Kyle was great from Fitzpatrick's office, and we got letters of support from our state senator and from our state representative. They were both very excited about this. So I don't know when we'll know, if we'll know, but it's in there. And like we just got done saying, shoot your shot and see where it gets you.
And just so everyone knows, the way this came up was there was an article about how Quakertown got a lot of funding, and reached out to Congressman Fitzpatrick's office and asked, well, why are all these other towns getting things and Morrisville is not? And they said Morrisville never applied. So now, with the help of Mr. Dillon, the congressman reached out, worked with the engineers, and now we're going for $10 million. We may not get it, but that's a huge sum of money just by asking, and that was never done before. So, anybody have any questions?
It sounds pretty amazing for a young council that's been doing this.
I think. Yes. Yeah, so great job, Kurt. Thank you for always looking out for and trying to find us more money. The engineers do look out and try to find us a lot of money. Like they bring things to Mr. Dillon's attention all the time. Do you want to go through this? Do you want to go for that? And you could see the money is starting to come in. So good job. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
On another note, people who are doing a good job, last week, and I'm sorry, Chief, that we're late on this, but May 11th through May 17th was National Police Week, and National Police Week honors the brave officers who made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. So big thank you to our officers and to you yourself. I'm sorry we weren't here a week earlier. There was a lot going on, if you didn't know.
Yes, thank you, Chief, for your service. Thank you to our officers here. I couldn't be more proud of what the department's doing down there, so thank you. I appreciate it.
The chief has been doing great. His officers are doing great, so we're very happy. Also, not to forget, May 18th through May 24th is National Public Works Week. We're at the tail end of it. So John, I'm sorry, and tell your guys we're sorry we didn't do this last month, but the National Public Works Week recognizes the essential services Public Works provides in our daily lives. I don't think they get enough kudos. They do a lot for us. I know they always get complaints like, oh, what are they doing? It's not this. And I myself have those complaints sometimes. So sorry, John. But they do a lot for us, and they do things, to try to fix the town. They try their very best.
Thank you, John, and your team too. We appreciate it.
If anybody else have anything, you can interrupt me. The recap for the egg hunt, Earth Day festivities, Clean Earth cleanups, and the Morrisville Business Association car show. They all were great events. The kids love the egg hunt, and the egg hunt committee, who's here again, has really great ideas for next year, so hopefully it'll be bigger and better. The Earth Day festivities is always very special for the town. It was beautiful. I was down there for a little while. I know the mayor blessed a tree, right? You want to say something?
Yeah, it's always a beautiful event down there. Cello puts on with the many different tribes that come in, and being able to be welcomed into the circle to bless the tree that she then plants every year for the earth on Earth Day. So just a beautiful thing to see down there. So if you haven't seen it next year, stop by. It's normally the weekend right before Earth Day, so that's Saturday. But again, she just puts on a beautiful show, or it's not a show, but it's all the ritual dance and chanting and everything there. But beautiful. The outfits that are worn are just the detail that's put into those, the feathers. It's wonderful. So please go check it out next year.
Make sure you put all of these events on your calendar. The NBA car show, Andrew, do you want to say something?
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. We had a good show, our fourth in a row. Good weather helped. We're turning into one of the better car shows in Lower Bucks County, which is nice to see. The attitude is the car people want to come back. We're attracting the same cars year after year now. We've got a local band. We're on the show circuit there's us, there's Bristol, there's Washington Crossing, and there's New Hope. So to be included in groups like that is pretty impressive. What really helps are some of the local merchants. The new restaurant Fame, well, they're not new anymore. The very good restaurant Fame contributed 4 gift certificates. Chris Casey's Ashland Distillery and the new microbrewery, 21 Locks, contributed gift certificates. Bella Pizza can't go out there and sell pizzas fast enough. And the car owners liked it. The spectators liked it. Again, we had a local band. They're all invited back next year. And you see some of the same cars, which is nice. We have 3 families. They think a really unique vintage car is a hearse. So they drive up in these big black ambulance, these hearses, and they got a casket they can roll in and out. And they got signs to cordon off their cars marked funeral in process. And they win awards, and they should, because we're afraid at our age not to, because we might need them after all. Yardley Florist contributed 3 bouquets, so we had a women entrance, or spectators, or women married to the entrance. We had a drawing for 3 women got flowers for Mother's Day. So we're really turning into a very nice, very respectable, very liked. Okay. Our borough attorney firm, Flager and Associates, sponsored the best overall car. So we got some very nice corporate sponsors at the same time. Again, thank you for the opportunity. It's good for the borough. We look forward to doing one again, and hopefully we'll see you. And is Mr. Warrenda here from the MMA? No, he's promised to enter his car for the past 4 years, so maybe this will give him the entrance. We were going to have a Best Mustang class, but on the other hand, instead of a Best Mustang, we have a police chief who's got a brand new college graduate daughter. So we want to give a round of applause to the chief who missed the car show. Shame on you, but with a great daughter with the BA now. So thank you very much.
Okay. Next, the VFW, the Veterans of Foreign Affairs, which is on Yardley, Newtown. I'm sorry, what? Foreign Wars. The Veterans of Foreign Wars, VFW, on Yardley Newtown Road is looking for members. So if anyone knows anyone who qualifies to be in the VFW, please contact them. They are searching for members. We have some board openings. We have the Environmental Advisory Council opening and some library board openings. So hopefully next month we'll make some appointments. So In terms of, and this again is with the engineers, so we went for a $500,000 grant for, I might call you back up, Kurt, $500,000 grant for Patriots Park. We had to have a match that would be the land value, correct? So I don't know where we stand with the survey of our land, but because of that, we started thinking about Summer Seat, and Summer Seat is part of Patriots Park, and it would be great if we could incorporate Summer Seat into the land value in order to start getting more grants, because there are grants out there for historic parks. So Mr. Dillon and I met with Summer Seat, and we had a conversation with them, and everyone on council, it was in your packet, so you see the letter. We asked them if they would like to, and I'm not sure what all the details are, but we asked them if they would like to have a joint partnership or to sell them to the borough for $1. And one of the things is that we do not want to have anything to do with Summer Seat. We are not going to tell them what to do. They would keep their board. It would be kind of like the library, but we would help to fix both the Patriots Park and Summer Seat as a joint effort. So their board members voted on it and they approved it. I don't know details, but I'd like to know from council if we can direct our solicitor to start looking into either a sale for $1 or pursue a joint partnership with Summer Seat. Conversation, comments?
Yeah, I talked to Greg Kerner, and
I really don't know all the details, but he's on the board and didn't seem real concerned about it, so.
Yeah, Mr. Dillon and I assured them that this is not the borough taking them over. We don't want to direct them. We don't want to tell them what to do. If they want to have events there, they don't need borough permission. They can continue to operate as they are. It's just we think that it would be beneficial to the borough to incorporate them and pursue making that really a nice area and commemorate our patriots.
It would be in conjunction with the borough, because the contract, even though if it's a sale for $1, the borough will not interfere and bother with Summer Seat. They will remain on their own, separate, even more so separate than the library. Like, we're not in charge of their budget or anything. The reason we're doing this is that if they are part of the borough, I don't want to say piggyback, but with Summer Seat being in conjunction with the borough, there's more funds available. The funds are easier to get versus Summer Seat, if they're struggling trying to get new windows and whatnot, if they kind of if they're partnered with us, they can get more money, and we can get more money and get that more money easier. But the contract with them, and that's probably what Fred was concerned about, that it doesn't matter who's on this dais for the next 100 years, this council and the borough officials will not interfere with Summer Seat at all. They will be their own thing. It's just an agreement to help them out with funding, with grants and whatnot.
So the letter that we received from Historic Summer Seat says, Dear Mr. Dillon, we were pleased that you visited the Board of Trustees of the Historic Morrisville Society on April 28th. After your visit, the Board of Trustees of the Historic Morrisville Society made a motion on Monday, April 28th at their monthly board meeting to request that Morrisville Borough prepare a draft of an operating agreement for the joint management of the Summer Seat property and the Heritage Park property adjacent parcels in the Borough of Morrisville. I think they actually meant to say Patriots Park, not Heritage Park. But so we're going to give the motion was passed, and we look forward to your written proposal. So if nobody has any objections, we're going to give this to the attorney to pursue. Okay, great. Okay.
And it is Patriots Park. Just to clarify, even Historic Summer Seat got that one wrong. I know there was something out there. I do apologize about any miscommunication. The Elks put out their press release and misnamed it. They were just excited about the hometown hero flags that are going to be hung there, but it is Patriots Park. We are celebrating our Patriots here in Morrisville.
Okay. Suggestion also in our, although I don't have that in front of me, Mr. Dillon had a suggestion that perhaps when we have new residents move into town and they get a UNO, is that when this would be sent or when their sale happened?
When their sale.
Okay, so when,
Transfer tax list and send a letter out.
so when the transfer tax list comes out, which we get on a regular basis, that there would be a welcome letter sent to the new residents and kind of tell them like very important kind of key aspects of the borough. Who should they contact? What is this? You know, who the MMA is, et cetera, et cetera. Trash day, that's very important, but just kind of welcome them, you know, make them welcome into the community, point them in the right direction. So no issues with council if that starts happening?
I wish I got one when I moved in.
We can make that letter available to everyone. I'm sorry, I don't have one in front of me to read to you. Engineering, you're done, right, Kurt? Great. The borough manager report.
Someday I'll learn how to work that thing. Just a few comments. The COPS grant, I'd like to say that this was the COPS grant that went from 2019 to 2023 with the tremendous help from Darletta Burry Johnson, the executive director of Ivans Outreach Center, and Dawn Sherlock. The borough was able to close out the COPS grant, where funds were spent on school safety, security upgrades, police-led threat assessments, and officer training. In closing out the grant, the borough will be issuing reimbursement checks with funds received from the United States Department of Justice in the amount of $39,900 to Holy Trinity School, $18,000 to Morrisville School District, $12,500 to the borough, and $18,700 to Ivans Outreach Center. So again, this is something that should have been done in 2023, but you know, that was on that four-page list of 70 some items that weren't accomplished by in the past. So this is just one of those things that's finally get checked off. So Helen just signed the checks this evening, so we'll be sending those checks out in the mail tomorrow to, the entities, Holy Trinity, the school district, and the outreach center. So I think that's not as big as $700,000, but it's another step in the right direction, in my opinion. Staff is working on the Sally Port with the chief. The architect who lives in town has prepared some rough cost estimates. We hope to be in a position to present to council at your July meeting a contract from a low bidder. We'll try to get a bid award at the July meeting so that hopefully the Sally Port can be installed by the end of the year, which is one of the requirements that the borough is facing. You did mention Summer Seat. It was very nice going there and meeting with the people, and I think it's another positive step. Also, Helen and I met with Katie, our tax collector, and come July, she'll be operating out of Borough Hall 3 days a week, a couple hours each day. So I think that's another step in the right direction. So that's about it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dillon. Police chief, I'm sorry, solicitor report. Do you have anything, Mr. Flager?
Just a few things. Want to commend Andrew on a great car show. My father, Sherry, and I, and my son were able to check it out, and it was really well done. And my son was thrilled that he got to help hand out the Best in Show prize. So, yeah, so it was a very nice event. Just a reminder that this weekend is Memorial Day weekend. Obviously, first and foremost, want to thank all of those who've served and pay the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms. We barbecue and go down the shore and all that, but it really has a much deeper and more important meaning. And a reminder to be safe. A lot of people driving, a lot of travel, a lot of people not paying attention, cars, kids distracting you, dogs, all that. So just be safe out there and have fun.
Thank you, Adam. Police Chief report.
Good evening, everyone. So I just want to say thank you for acknowledging Police Week. I was going to bring it up, but at last, but I'm happy that everyone here understands. For a long time in my career, about 8 years, I rode the Unity Tour, which is a bike ride from New Jersey down to Washington, D.C. And when we get into D.C., it kicks off the Police Week, and that is there to acknowledge those who paid the ultimate sacrifice and died on the line of duty. So I haven't done that in a couple of years, not getting any younger. I plan to do it one more time at least, but this week on Monday, I had the pleasure of, and I don't know if it was a pleasure, but it was moving. I went to the Bucks County Police Memorial Services, Bristol Township, Bensalem, and Middletown. And at each one, they did a short memorial service for officers that died in the line of duty in those departments. And then at 7 o'clock at night, there was a service at St. Andrews in Newtown. And they honored the 16 law enforcement officers that died in the line of duty since, I think the first one was in the late 1800s that I guess they had on record. So it was a very nice tribute. It was a moving ceremony. And it was nice to hear the acknowledgement. So just a couple of updates I have. The booking center. I received an email yesterday that our machine is being delayed. They construct every machine for each agency. It's made to order, and the cabinet that houses all the equipment is being delayed for some reason. So I was told mid-June, and I hope that is accurate because we are ready to go. We have our permits, so we have a small little bit of construction in the building. We're ready to start that. We're just trying to pick a date with Sergeant Astromonti and I, and we can move forward and make room for that booking center.
So is that, excuse me for interrupting.
Sure.
Does the delay in the fingerprint machine give us an extension on the Sallyport?
Well, with the Sallyport, so we don't have to have the Sallyport up and running prior to getting started with the booking center. We just have to have plans and have something in motion.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're good on that. Yeah. Truck enforcement is still going. We did a truck detail last night. We changed it up. Some of the concerns and emails that I've received from the residents are indicating that the truck traffic is a little heavier overnight. So I had Corporal Hallis come in this morning at 3 o'clock in the morning, and he did 4 hours. He observed 3 trucks in 4 hours. So that's a good thing. I think we're seeing less trucks. Our enforcement has been hampered a little bit from the construction that's going on Pennsylvania Avenue right now. It makes it a little difficult to conduct enforcement safely, but we're still doing it. We're going to continue to do more details. It's just been a little tough the last couple of weeks because we've been trying to fill holes in the schedule, and bringing extra officers in has not really been working, but we're back at it. To date, we're just under 330 citations issued. I received a grant for a camera, which has no cost to the borough. It's a $5,000 camera setup. It's a DSLR camera that comes with case, lenses, stands, and 3 days of free training for an officer. So this was something that came across my desk from the State Chiefs of Police Association. And I said, well, why not, right? So I applied for it and we got it. And what's good about this, it's going to help us in our investigative efforts, but also it's going to eliminate our officers using their personal cell phones to take pictures, which is just never a good thing. It opens us up to having our phones subpoenaed, and it's just not something we want to be doing. So this is going to help us tremendously. We have an officer who is an amateur photographer and one who is very interested in this, so she's going to receive the training when it's offered and when we receive this, and that's going to help us a lot.
It's great news.
Yeah, I was excited to receive it. It's first, other than the scale, it was the first grant that I didn't know if we would get it, and we got it. I got turned down for another grant that I applied for, National Night Out, but win some, lose some.
Chief, can I ask you a quick question about
course.
that? Do you know offhand, and it's okay if you don't, I'm putting you on the spot, but how much is that training ordinarily?
The training, so I don't know if they offer that training regularly. Like, there's so many different types of in-service training, and I don't recall seeing anything to send somebody for like forensic photography. I know they offer it to like county detectives and detectives, but I've never seen it as a class that's offered. You could just send an officer to, with their equipment. This is part of it. I don't know, but it's 3 days. So I'm sure there's a lot involved with it.
Just curious, and excuse me, Mayor, if I'm overstepping, just curious if we could maybe find out, because to have one officer, that's fantastic. Just adds a contingency plan. As long as we have that equipment, it's great. Not that I think this officer should go anywhere, and I hope she doesn't, but just as the whole point of contingency planning.
If I can send all of my officers,
I'm sure you would,
specialty
right?
Training, I definitely would.
But at least one other. If it's not terribly expensive, perhaps this council can make a decision on that later. Obviously, we don't have that, in front of us.
Look
But
into.
yeah,
For sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's great that you found that grant, though. Thank you.
It was by luck it came across my desk, an email.
Yeah, I don't think council has to approve any training that the officers have. I think if it's the mayor and the chief are working together and there's money in the budget, they're fine to just send whoever they want.
Okay, thank you. So the next thing I wanted to discuss is this blue envelope program. This is something that's been endorsed by the Bucks County Chiefs, and it's been adopted by quite a few agencies in Bucks County now. And what this is, this aims to assist in the communication process between police officers and people who are on the autism spectrum. So really what we do is we're going to put something out on our website that's going to invite anybody in the community who may be autistic or have a family member who's autistic that drives, and they can come down and get this envelope. And what they do is they put their credentials in the envelope. And there's two sides to it. And one side is it'll say on there if the driver is verbal or nonverbal. And it's got some tips for that driver of what to expect when interacting with the police, where to keep their hands, to expect maybe a flashlight, and commands that a police officer may give. On the other side, there's tips that the officer should be aware of when interacting with somebody who is autistic. And this helps overcome the hurdles of communication, and it's going to be good for us to bridge that communication gap. So I think that Lower Makefield has just adopted this. We're going to put it out on our website, and I think it's just another thing to work with the community and communicate better. So it's the Blue Envelope program. It's been around the state. I think Bucks County probably about a year now. There's agencies that have been using this, but we're starting to catch on over here. May 31st. Is our police test. I've been in communication, and thank you to Commissioner Bauer. We organized a police test. The Commissioner and Civil Service will be administering the written, physical agility, and oral portions. They will create an eligibility list, and hopefully we'll have some qualified applicants that we can select from if we move forward with hiring. So we're excited for that. I'm going to come down on the 31st and address the applicants and tell them all the exciting opportunities they can have as an officer here in Morrisville. So I think I'm excited for that. And Monday, we heard, is Memorial Day, and it's a day that we do have a lot of parties, and there's going to be a great parade here in town, but it's one we should remember our veterans, our service men and women who gave the ultimate sacrifice and for our freedoms. So Monday, we're having the parade. We're getting some help.
Time?
The parade kicks off at 9 o'clock. We'll be out there a couple hours in advance, getting the roads ready, kind of like we did for Winterfest. We're going to get a little bit of help from the fire police. John Lader's going to be a big help, getting us set up with some barricades and cones. and it's going to be a hectic day for us trying to make sure that everyone is safe and leapfrogging from different intersections to get this parade moving from point A to point B, but we're going to make it happen. So I hope to see people there. I'll be there, and probably on an intersection waving my hands.
Your first parade, right?
Well, no, I had the Winterfest parade and the Little League.
No, I mean the
First
memorial.
Day parade,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. So other than that, and also thank you to Darletta. I know that was a lot of work because I had to dig up a lot of paperwork and reports from long before I was here, turned it over to her and Dawn, and they made that happen. So thank you to both of them.
She's been really helpful to us, and the police department in doing grants.
Yeah, we spoke yesterday on the telephone about the recent DOJ grants that were emailed to us, and we're going to sit down and we're going to look and see what applies to us and what we can apply for. She's been a great help. When I did the grant for the scale grant, I sent it to her, and she was like my English teacher with a red pen, and she helped me out when we got it through and it was approved. So she's been a great help.
No, I was talking to someone. Are you done? I don't want to interrupt you. And I know the scale out here is broken, and I forget who I was talking to. I'm sorry. But they were mentioning that there are portable scales and that we should probably start looking into portable scales rather than building a scale. You don't need to answer now, but maybe you can talk to Corporal Hallis and see if that's feasible instead of like building a whole new one and looking for a site.
Yeah, there are portable scales, and we have discussed it, and I believe that it's probably cost effective. I don't know exactly how they work and how much portability they have. I don't know if it's something that could be loaded into the back of the Tahoe, or it's something that we would still have to bring trucks to a location and then we just get them underneath the trucks. I'm not sure, but we can certainly look into that because I think it may be an option to consider to move forward with this. And, we have that money from that grant. So if we can apply it to that, then we could probably get this going sooner than later.
Yeah, so just for the public, Jim Propriak gave us $56,000, right?
57, I think.
Yeah, $56,000 to rebuild our scale, which is about half the cost. So I don't know what portable scales cost, but somebody gave me a whole, I'm sorry, I can't remember. They gave me a whole lecture on portable scales.
I've heard pros and cons.
Yeah.
But I wrote myself a note. I'll reach out to Chris Lucchese, who gave me the quotes for the permanently installed scale, and see if they deal with that, see if I can get a quote. Yeah.
One other thing, I had some residents talk to me about the truck traffic. I told them that they should contact you instead of me because the council laid out all the ordinances and things, but it's up to the police and I can't tell you what to do. So they need to complain to you. But one of the comments that a couple of them made, they said that some have said that the trucks are still barreling through here and no one has seen the police do anything about it for a month and a half. They don't care. Why should people care when it's a temporary show? Now, I've been down there and I've seen your officers, so I don't agree with this statement that was made to me. I see them all the time. And just because you live on this end doesn't mean when they're on that end, they're not there. But you should keep in mind that that's what the residents are saying if you want to address that, because I do see your officers there.
I appreciate you saying that. And, I think the numbers indicate that we are down there. And there's a whole lot more truck stops, in addition to the ones where citations are being written. I encourage anybody with concerns, complaints to reach out to me. And I've had conversations, telephone, in person with quite a few residents, and I'd be happy to explain, up on a superhighway, I think it says 65 miles an hour, but if you're doing 65, you're getting pushed off the road. They put the signs up, we changed the laws, and they're still going to try to get by. We're out there as much as we can, and some are going to get by. And when they do, they're going to stick out like a sore thumb, and we're going to get the complaints. But I encourage anybody to, give me a call, and I'd be happy to talk to them.
I told them to call you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't like that, so.
That's okay. So I like
Yeah.
Thank you,
Anybody
Chief.
have anything for the chief?
Yep. So thank you, Chief. And then also, I want to also thank Darletta as well. She does put a lot of work in for this borough, and she does great with trying to get these grants for us. I saw her yesterday, and we got to talking, and she was talking about the grants that Chief was talking about that she emailed over to us, and they're going to work together, again, to bring in more money for Morrisville, but also for community policing and the safety of the town. And then real quick, to touch on the blue envelope. So that's exactly why we brought you here as a chief, right? We wanted more community policing, and you're seeking to improve that every time we talk. I love your energy. And this is just another step forward to, I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but like to help out the ones that are in need,
Right.
you know, and this is a step there. So something doesn't happen, God forbid a stop happen, and someone got nervous because, well, they didn't know that they had a condition. So
Right.
thank you.
And you know, the policing in general has put a lot more emphasis on, you know, working with mental health, working with people with autism, working with people with dependencies, you know, in alternative ways to avoid enforcement, right? Education before enforcement, interaction before enforcement, because not everybody is a criminal, and not everybody, you know, is going to be able to communicate or understand, or maybe they're under the influence of something. And, you know, we have to be able to recognize that. And, you know, just because somebody isn't going with the program, so to say, does not mean that they are a criminal. You know, they may not understand. It could be a language barrier, but this is another good step for us to, you know, overcome those barriers and increase communication. So it's important. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
My pleasure.
All right. Let's see, the consent agenda. So approval of council meeting minutes from 4/15/2025, approval of the bill list from 4/1 to 4/30/25 in the amount of $431,535.97. Approval to co-sponsor, and co-sponsor means waived rental fees, insurance with the use of the stage and restrooms, the music festival at Williamson Park, Saturday, June 28th from 4 to 8 p.m. with no other cost to the borough, to coordinate with the chief of police for an estimated crowd of 100. Approval to co-sponsor, again, it's waived rental fees and insurance with the use of the stage and the restrooms, the Irish Festival at Williamson Park, Saturday, September 13th from 5 to 8:30 p.m. with a rain date of Sunday, September 14th, with no other cost to the borough, to coordinate with the chief of police with an estimated crowd of 200. Approval to co-sponsor waived rental fees, insurance, and the use of stage and restrooms, the Jazz Festival at Williamson Park, Saturday, August 16th from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. with no other cost to the borough, to coordinate with the chief of police with an estimated crowd of 100. Approval to co-sponsor waived fees and use of stage and restrooms, the movie Family Night at Williamson Park, Friday, June 20th at sunset, which is approximately 8:22 p.m. with no other cost to the borough, to coordinate with the chief of police, a crowd of 10 to 30 people. Approval to co-sponsor waived fees and use of stage restrooms, the Family Movie Night at Williamson Park, Friday, July 18th at sunset, approximately 8:25 p.m. with no other cost to the borough, to coordinate with the chief of police, an estimated crowd of 10 to 50. Call for a motion to define Morrisville co-sponsorship events. By co-sponsoring an event, Morrisville Borough supporting the event by assuming the cost of insurance, restroom facilities, Williamson Park only, and tables. The borough will also agree to waive any facility use, application, and/or rental fees. An applicant seeking the waiver of any cost or fee shall specifically list those costs and fees in an application with the cost estimates that must be separately approved by the Morrisville Borough Council. Event should include a Morrisville Borough sponsored banner. Melissa, would you make the motion?
Moved.
Scott, would you approve? Would you second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Just so everyone knows, we did approve something last year about defining what the co-sponsorship event was. But when looking back at it, Judith had gotten the porta potties, which went back, and so then we said that, you know, the borough would sponsor porta potties, but that would become a big cost for us. So we took out porta potties, and we're just saying the restroom facilities already at Williamson Park. So that's all I have to add to that. Any other discussion?
I have a question. So with this 10H, is there some sort of checklist or how does one, as a resident or applicant, let's just say that, have the ability to ask for something to be sponsored? Is there some sort of,
There's an application.
so, and then once they've applied, then
Catherine she fills them out all the time.
how's it approved?
Well, through the council. But this is through our own Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. And so we put together summer events or fall events, and then I submit them to council for approval. Sometimes we have expenses, but my bands and stuff are all sponsored and paid for. So basically, we use the tables, the chairs, and the stage and the facility, and I come to council and ask for approval.
So can a resident?
I was going to say the only time that council needs to approve it is if they're asking for co-sponsorship, which means the waiver of all these things.
Right. So then, so a resident could go to Parks and Recreation and ask Parks and Recreation.
No, they go to the borough hall office.
Yeah.
See, that's the part that I'm trying to figure out. Who gets?
They have to ask the borough. There's a thing that says, is this co-sponsored? And they ask the office. They work with the office.
So a resident can ask, because that's what I said initially. So a resident can ask council through an application if they want it to be co-sponsored, or do they have to go through Parks and Recreation?
No, they go to the office.
Okay.
They fill out the application, which is what Catherine explained, like how the application works. And then if they're asking for a co-sponsorship, it comes to council. If it's no co-sponsorship, then they can just have the event. The office handles that, or the borough manager. We don't get involved. It's only when there's a money issue that council needs to approve things.
Yes, it's similar to what we did for the Easter egg hunt. The
Correct. Everything was waived.
Mm-hmm.
So to be clear, a resident can fill out an application, ask through council for co-sponsorship, which will either be
the office, and the office will then put it on the agenda.
Right, and then we will decide as a council if it will be co-sponsored.
Correct.
All right, that's what I was trying to get at, not the Parks and Recreation part. Trying to figure out how residents, other than going through Park and Recreation, can get the same benefit if they so choose.
Virginia, you work down there. They come to you guys.
Normally, we might ask them also to write a letter, which kind of looking for from council. It's pretty basic, but I don't know.
I'm not looking for the specifics on what's on the application and stuff. I'm just trying to figure out, how do residents get that same benefit? Because when we see them on here, a lot of them are coming from Parks and Recreation, which led me to wonder, how does a resident do the same thing? How are we as council, and I think this came up in another meeting where we said, look, why are we paying for residents' parties at the park or events at the park? Like, at what point?
Because the resident will ask.
Right. And so now that's what led me to say, okay, I'm seeing this again. So how does I'm not trying to say anything good, bad, or indifferent. Just want to know how residents get to do that and put that on the record for residents. Because I only see them from Parks and Recreation, and these are the ones we see every year.
There are others.
Yeah.
I was just trying to think.
The Earth Day celebration.
Earth Day celebration that we co-sponsored
That didn't come through Parks and Recreation?
No.
It did originally, but now she just comes straight.
They always just come straight to us. Yeah, go ahead, Virginia.
Normally, that I've seen, that doesn't even have to be, but I've only seen like an organization. Maybe it's a resident that has an organization that pulls something. I have never seen a resident for their own person. Party or it's usually like standard. I can't be one off the top of my head, but an organization that maybe a nonprofit something would be they're looking for. I haven't seen an actual, like, someone like coming up and saying, I want to do
Yeah, I mean, it says event, co-sponsorship event, so it has to be something. It can't just be a party.
Right. No, I was just worried about the process. So, okay. Thank you. That answers my question. Thank you.
Okay, anything else from council? Public, no? Oh, public comment? No public comment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Oh, I'm sorry, opposed. Opposed. I had a mental breakdown for a minute. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 8-0. I'm so sorry. Okay. I was thinking of, I talk so much during these meetings, and Mr. Dillon and I were discussing this. I was thinking that perhaps council would like to get involved in reading the action items. No? Oh, here I am trying to get them involved, and they're like, no. Okay. All right. Well, okay, then I'll just keep, if no one minds my voice. Okay, so so no Catherine. So I'll explain why we started calling out names is because we would sit here and say who makes the motion, and like Andrew would make the motion and Scott would make the motion at the same time, and then like we would spend 5 minutes saying who said it, was it you, who was it, and it just became tedious. So that's why I went to a Bridge Commission meeting, and the Bridge Commission would call people's names, and Gary was there, and we said, oh my God, maybe that would help with the process. And also people at home, I know you guys are sitting here, but people at home can't tell who is making the motion. So by calling out the names, people then know. I know some people think like, oh, she's being a dictator. I'm not. I'm just trying to get the meeting to flow a little bit better and make it a little more tangible for everyone. So what we were going to do is say, like, I would say, Scott, would you make the motion? And Scott would say, I motion to approve payment, blah, blah, blah. And then I would say, Andrew, would you second? And then that would continue that way. But this way you can hear from all the council people. And I have also told all the council people, if they do not want to make the motion or second it, if they stay silent, I would call someone else. So it's not mandatory that they make the motions. So I hope that explains things for people. And I hope that you like it. Okay, Scott, would you make a motion for 11A?
11A, I motion to approve payment number 1 for the Manor Park Playground Improvement Project in the amount of $37,858.50 a CBGB grant to Premier Builders Incorporated, as recommended by the borough engineer.
Andrew, would you second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Anything from the public? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye. Abstentions? Motion passes 8-0. Andrew, would you make the next motion?
Yes, thank you for asking. Motion to approve Premier Builders to replace the remainder of the 18-inch pipe that crosses under Manor Park Playground area. During construction, it was discovered the pipe was compromised by the installation of the hockey rink fence post, restricting flow of the discharge point. Estimated cost $53,530 US.
Melissa, would you second?
Second.
And just a reminder, we did get a grant, so that estimated cost will be supported by the grant. Anything from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 8-0. Marie? Okay, next time. Dennis, would you call the motion?
Call for motion to approve payment in the amount of $110,000 to the Morrisville Fire Company as allocated in the 2024 Fire Fund budget, contingent upon receipt of the following documents: 2024 financial statement, schedule of events, current roster, and their 2024 audit.
Luke, would you second? Motion is second. Discussion? Anything from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 8-0. Dennis, would you make the next motion?
Call for motion to approve payment to Capital Health EMS in the amount of $37,000, calculated as $52,000 per the 2024 EMD fund budget, less the $15,000 annual rental fee for 139 North Washington Street, as stipulated in the contract, contingent upon the receipt of their 2024 financial statement and audit.
Catherine, would you second?
I'll second it.
Motion and second, discussion? Anything from the public? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 8-0. Andrew, would you make the next motion?
Call for motion to approve $1,575 for the Irish Festival, broken up as $1,100 for bands, $150 for Irish dancers, $125 for face painters, and $200 for publicity.
Melissa, would you second? Scott, would you second?
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion?
I have a question. Is this one of I'm looking back to see with no other cost to the borough in 10C.
Correct. That's because that was a consent because we figured nobody would not want to have the event. But now, so I'm a little confused, Catherine, because I did see on Facebook where you said these events would not have a cost. But then when they were putting together the agenda, the application had these as a budgeted cost.
I put on that the total cost would be about $2,000. So some of them do have a cost. Now, I don't know if you want me to, but so we usually, that comes out of the recreation budget.
Well, that depends. I mean, the council has to approve or not approve. But so go ahead, Melissa. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, that discussion helped. So I'm just trying to understand how we had a consent agenda for 10, I said C, my apologies, 10E, looking on the wrong side of my glasses here. I was under the impression with the consent agenda that was approved that there would be no other costs. And granted, I did see this was coming up, but it doesn't jive. I'm a little.
It's a two-parter. So we could have it all together as one, but we don't have, we approved that the Irish Festival could happen. So they can have the Irish Festival. Now they're asking for, can we have $1,500 for the Irish Festival?
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt, but what I thought we were approving was the Irish Festival with co-sponsorship and no other cost.
I know it's
right.
Yes,
so
that's two separate asks. So one is they want to have an Irish Festival, and we're not going to give them any money. So they can have the Irish Festival one way or the other. And then the other one is they are asking now the borough, the residents of the borough, to pay for $1,500 for this event. So if we say no to the $1,500, they can still continue having the event. But if we say yes to the $1,500, then the borough is picking up the expense.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation. However, I think in the future, obviously, this doesn't fall within that, but I think that's a little confusing. I think if there's money, then the motion should say that. It shouldn't say no other costs, because you're right. Now they can have the festival, right? But it shouldn't say with no other cost. That extra line.
You approved the event at no other cost other than those three items.
Right. That's
now they're asking. Now they're getting that, and now they're asking for $1,500.
But my point is that I approved it because there's no other cost, so why not approve it, right?
Well, but
so now that they're asking for money, it could have been today, it could have been next month, it could have been a day before they're asking for money, and we initially said to the public, no other money, or at least that's what I approved. You
approved no other money, and they can continue it. So let's assume that this council says, no, we're not giving money. You approved the event to go on at no other cost. If you guys all approve, then we will give them $1,500 for the event. If you say no, they can have the event or not have the event because they're not getting the money. So the first one is just, there's no other cost other to the borough to have this event other than those items. It's a two-parter, and because there's money involved, you have to have it under the action item, not under the consent item. So because if you combine it, then you can say, no, I'm not paying it, and then they can't even have the event. And that's why it's split into two.
No, I get that. I feel right now that it would be irresponsible of me to say, I just approved no other money, and then I go back and say, yes, you can have some money. So if this initial motion had said for them to have the event, then they would have the event. But when you ask us to approve it with no other cost, and then you come back and ask for cost, I have a problem with that. I don't know whose problem. I don't know who wrote it, and look, I didn't write it, and that's what's in front of me, and it makes me uncomfortable. And that's what I'm going to say. That's my discussion on that.
Okay.
I have a question, if I can pick it up, Helen. Are these real costs, or are these guesstimates, or is there any?
That would be a
paperwork behind
question.
it?
That's a question for Catherine.
Okay, Catherine, these are real costs, or these are guesstimates?
They're real costs that we've taken from the years past that we've used for the Irish Festival, and like we've also sponsored bands for the Jazz Festival, but I found a sponsor for them, so we don't have those expensive. And on the music festival, I had $500 for a band. I got a sponsor for that. So some of this might be not charged because I'll find sponsors to pay for them. But initially, I've always submitted this with the application. I always have it.
Have you talked to the Irish band and see whether they'll still do it for $1,500, or?
Well, it's actually a couple of band and entertainers like Bodoc and some of the other ones. So I just added those all together.
So do you think you can do it for this, or you're going to need a sponsor?
Yes. Okay. I've already talked to them.
Wouldn't it be easier to get the sponsors to do it like the way we run the car show? We get sponsors, we buy trophies. We don't get sponsors, we don't buy trophies. It's real simple. We're self-financed.
It's up for you to decide.
Okay, thank you.
Did you try to get sponsors?
Yes, like I said, we got sponsors for I put this application in, and then I looked out for other sponsors. I got one, like I said, for the $500 band for the Jazz Festival, but not the Irish Festival yet. So I'm putting it out there so that we can vote on and approve the budget, and then if I get the sponsor, if I can't, then I'll have to cancel the event, and I'd hate to do that.
Anybody else on council?
I think the confusion is that it was put out there that it was no other cost. So I know I'm new to this, but I mean, it's getting late. I know we're all tired. We had a long day yesterday. But we just not second the motion and move forward?
It's already been seconded.
Can I make one more thing? When I submit the bill or submit the application, I do put a budget, a handwritten budget on the application. I didn't, I respect the way you divided it up, and I'm fine with that, but it wasn't my suggestion to do it that way.
It's not going to be until September, right? September 18th. So why don't we table it, or I suggest we table it, and we come back next month and we add the date, September 13th, to it, and then earmark the line item, the Parks and Recreation Fund for it. And I mean, for me, I'm good with that.
Are you tabling
What I
it?
was about to vote wouldn't change now or ever. But we could, I mean,
Are you tabling it? You said, I want to make a motion. Are you making a motion to table?
I would recommend to table it to next month because we have to add the date to it. And
Is there a second? Is there a second to table?
Yes.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to table. To just do all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
opposed to tabling?
Opposed.
Okay, Luke, Melissa, who else opposed?
Catherine.
Catherine, you opposed tabling?
Because if we're going to do this event, we have to have a date that we can publicize and get it out there and start working on getting things done for it.
What's the vote on the table?
So 3 people oppose. I'm assuming that, so it's 5-3, so the motion passes to oppose it.
What's the table?
To table it, I'm sorry, to table it. Okay, so the table failed. So Virginia, do you want to, well, is there any discussion from the public? Nothing from the public. Virginia, you want to do roll call?
Approved. Yes.
I'm so sorry. I have to interrupt. What are we voting right now? We are voting to.
Want to give them $1,575.
Gotcha. Okay, we're voting on the actual initial motion. I thought the table was not opposed.
It's not, it failed. Luke opposed it, you opposed it, and Catherine opposed it. Everybody else
Approved to table.
Oh, approved to table. Sorry, I'm sorry. It was a long day. It's tabled. Sorry, I'm so sorry. All right, call for a motion. And so, Catherine, you're saying you got $500 for a band, so it's actually $450 for the music festival?
Yes.
Okay, call for a motion to approve $450 for the music festival, $50 for kites and toys, $250 for a balloon man, $125 for a face painter. Scott, would you make the motion?
So moved.
Andrew, would you second? Motion is second. Discussion? Anything from the public? Virginia, do roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
No?
No.
Yes.
Motion fails. Virginia, right, 5-3? Okay. All right, non-agenda items. Lisa Page, public comment. State your name and street address.
My name is Lisa Page. I live at 505A Westford Street here in Morrisville. I've currently been living there since the beginning of November of '24. I am here on behalf of what is being said as far as landlords and tenants when it comes to renting a property and the condition of it. For the council members or even the township to impress upon us residents to have to endure every year $100 cost to have our privacy invaded is ludicrous. I am so opposed against it that I would have to wind up taking time off from work, lose pay because of it, and yet we have residents. I can point out at least a half a dozen homes that are owned by people that look like they could be demolished. Case in point, there's one over off of Trenton Avenue that I saw just driving past it, and the grass is so high, I could lose half my body walking through it. But yet, you want to impose a $100 cost on renters every year for what? Because the council or the township or borough wants to just do it for the fun of it? I don't see what the purpose behind it all is, especially when there are landlords that take pride in their property. Case in point, my property that I am renting currently, it is immaculate. It is well kept. There's nothing wrong with it. And yet I'm standing here in awe that the township, the borough, wants to invade renters' privacy. Why not, if you're going to do that, why not say, okay, well, if the renters are going to have to endure this every year, why not we go around and look for all these properties that are being miskept by homeowners and impose on their privacy? That is what's fair, not like half glass full or half glass empty. It's either you're going to impose it for everybody or nobody at all. And cost of $100, that can be steep for a lot of people that are renting properties around the borough. If you said like $50, that's a little bit more reasonable. But $100, you're asking renters to shell out of their pocket, not one time, but you're saying every year after year after year. And like I said, that's not fair. It's not fair to us. It's not fair to the landlords that keep up their properties. Like my landlord, it's just, I'm dumbfounded. I'm astonished. Thank you.
Thank you. Lois Taylor.
Lois Taylor, Hamilton Boulevard. There's been, the word slumlord has been thrown around a lot around here lately. Slumlord, I quote, is a person who rents out houses or apartments that are in poor areas, in poor condition, and often charging unfairly high rents. To call landlords in Morrisville slumlords means, one, Morrisville is a poor area. I believe that's an insult to all Morrisville residents. To say they are rented in poor conditions means your required UNO is useless, because they had to prevent, that is to prevent rentals in poor conditions. To say the area rentals are unfairly high rents is wrong in cases I know of, because most of them are rented below the going rate. When the rent is set, 5 things are considered: mortgage, interest, taxes, insurance, and repairs. If a tenant doesn't pay their rent, it becomes financially difficult for a landlord to pay for repairs. A definition of a home is a place of residence, a dwelling, or a sanctuary that evokes feeling of belonging, security, and comfort. It's not just a physical structure, it's where one's affection and memories are centered and where one feels at ease. It's a family sanctuary. I heard a borough council member say that the inspector's not going to look under beds or in your wallets. That may be true, but pictures have been taken, made available to council members, then posted on Facebook and published in magazines like this. If it's not illegal, it's unethical. People should have the right not to have pictures of the inside of their home sent out for everybody to see. That is their sanctuary. A council member in this publication said, I quote, "Landlords are focusing on what it's going to cost them. We focus on the value of a human life." If that's the case, why is $100 per unit being charged? If the info in this publication is correct, over 40% of residents are renting. Just the first 40 inspections out of 100 alone generates $4,000. It's repeated that the money generated will be split 50-50 between the inspector and Morrisville. I bet everyone in this room would like a $2,000 increase in their salary. The other $2,000 goes to Morrisville. And that's only out of the first 40 rental inspections. At the very least, 2 things should be reconsidered. 1, rentals that have a UNO within the last year should be exempt. All HUD rentals should be exempt. They've already are inspected by HUD yearly, not only for fire safety, but for quality of life, such as holes in walls, broken light fixtures, etc. Landlords and tenants receive a list of needed improvement repairs that are needed and a deadline for the reinspection. You are just duplicating that. Thank you.
Thank you. Jamie Ratty? No? Okay. Gary Taylor?
Lee Taylor, Hamilton Boulevard, 36-year resident. I'm one of the disgruntled money-grubbing slumlords as you've talked about. In one of your pieces that 4 of you put out as a publication for political ads, you said right here, siding with slumlords. You 4 should have never said that. That's a disgrace to us. Here's it. Your name's on it. Your name's on it, and publication says slumlords right on the top. So, well, somebody else did. They put your name on it, so you have to take responsibility for it. The newsletter that came out to you folks, the newsletter that came out was already read, and it said that we only want money stuff.
Don't argue.
We're not concerned about the quality of the safety of the people. This, basically, I'd call it a hit piece, this newsletter that was just shown, came out within 30 days of the election. I don't know if that's even legal. Let me tell you a little bit about this disgruntled, money-grubbing slumlord. Lois and I have spent over $2.2 million on Morrisville homes, improving them in this town. I wonder how much you've spent. This $2.2 million doesn't include the purchase prices. We've also paid over $1.3 million in property and school taxes. Lois owns 40% of our Morrisville properties, and all of our mortgages, all of our properties still have mortgages on, trying to pay for all this stuff that we've done for the community. We don't have a lot of extra money. You mentioned in your political promotion, called a newsletter, that there was 1 death and 3 fires in rental properties last year. How many fire calls, I wonder, the fire company have in a year? 1 a week? That would be 52 in a week, or 52 in a month. So if 3 of them went to residents, I wonder how many went to the homeowners. In fact, in our neighborhood, a whole house burned down on Palmer. Entire thing, and that was a homeowner's house. Was that because you didn't expect it? Maybe you should have expected that house also. Why? When that house burnt down, they called me to see if I could rent them a house short term while they rebuilt their house. I wasn't able at the time, but they called me because I helped a friend of theirs who was adding on to their house, and I rented it to a short term. Broke what most landlords would do. I'm a lousy landlord. I'm a lousy, maybe more accurate would be businessman. Instead of immediately throwing out tenants who can't pay due to difficult circumstances, I've lost over $112,000 in rent in just the last 6 months. Because I've tried to help pay, I've been patient with patients with tenants who have problems, who have difficulties, and I try to help them overcome their challenging positions. I spent 4 hours with one of my tenants, 2 hours for Social Security and 2 hours for HUD, trying to get them back on those programs. And I'm going to meet them tomorrow to give them the letters to help them get on Social Security. Now you want us to money-grubbing slumlords to allow you to invade the property and the privacy of our tenants. You're also inspecting homeowners' homes who haven't had a thing done in 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years. I bet most of those won't pass any current code requirements. Tenant homes are inspected every 3 to 5 years with change of occupancy, and yet you're going after the tenant and not the homeowners. I wonder how many of your homes will pass a code enforcement inspection. Why don't you ask Larry to come in and do one for you? None of the residents are not second-class citizens to watch over like little children.
I'm sorry, you have 3 minutes.
Jamie would like to come up and finish my things. I'm going to call it in here. Jamie? This is the last part here.
Non-owner residents are not second-class citizens to watch over like little children. They teach our children in Morrisville schools, serve us in restaurants or hotels, take care of our young children in our child care centers, pay taxes through rent. You are also encouraging other landlords to improve and invest in quality homes elsewhere. You're encouraging it. Courtney said 1530 did not respond to your ordinance 1910. How is that working out? I have a plan for UNO revision that Larry says is needed. I have had hundreds of UNOs. Tenants are valuable parts of our community. Leave the tenants alone. Make it fair for everybody.
Did you state your name for the record?
My name is Jamie Rowdy, and I live on Philadelphia Avenue.
Thank you. Bill, do you want to? No? Okay. All right. Just to clear up, the $100 is not charged to the tenant. It is charged to the landlord. But when that would be up to each landlord to decide on their own how they pass on that cost. There have been some tax decreases So if I would hope that tenants, that landlords would pass on the tax savings as well as any cost that they're incurring. But I thank the residents for their comments. I'm sorry.
That's the issue of the tenants would have to take time off from work.
Please do not interrupt. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And anybody else have any public comment? Okay, Mayor?
Right, I know it's been a long meeting, so
Oh,
maybe
I'm sorry, no, we were there. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I'll maybe kind of keep it brief. But good evening, everyone. So again, just to echo on the Easter egg hunt, it was a great event. The kids had such a great time. It was well received, well attended. So thank you to everyone who came out. Again, to the Earth Day celebration, beautiful. I encourage everyone to come out next year and take a look at that. Also, this past Sunday, we went ahead and kicked off the Morrisville Moves with the Mayor. What I'm doing is trying to get the community out and active together and moving around. So it's for all ages, all levels of exercising. So you can come, you can walk, jog, or run. We had families out there with their kids on the bikes, they had wagons. So it was a great event. We're going to be doing it every Sunday at 10 a.m. And I know some people had some concerns, so we're going to look at that as well, where people are out at church at 10. So maybe we might do 2 in the evening, maybe like a sunset run or walk. So I'll look at that and keep you all posted. We are not going to do this Sunday just because of the holiday. So I want you all to enjoy, be safe with your family, friends, and loved ones. But we will see you again on Sunday, June 1st at 10 a.m. Same spot on the canal right next to the Actors Net and the Calhoun Street Bridge. Also, I'm going to be working with the Morrisville Historical Society to try and get us onto the Victory Town. It's the Washington, and I'm sorry, George isn't here today, AKA Sam, to tell me how to say this, but the Washington Rochambeau Revolutionary Route. It's a route that nearly 200 municipalities and counties throughout the United States, actually on this side, but there are trail passes that bring you through all the spots that this route went, and Morrisville is one of those. So we want to get them on the map. And again, that can bring more tourism into the town and get to see this historic summer seat that we have over there and everything we have to offer here in Morrisville. As mentioned, we have the Memorial Day Parade this Monday, the 26th, starting at 9 a.m. at the Presbyterian Church. Coming down, will end at the cemetery right down by Post Road and have a little ceremony there. So hopefully everyone can come out and enjoy. Kurt, thank you so much for what you had said, the senior center over there. And it's great that the county commissioners and everyone above the county commissioners can see what we're doing up here, and we're getting things done. And that's why they will hopefully give us that grant of $710,000. But again, it's up to the residents and to come to us, let us know your concerns, because we do hear it, right? And we do act on it. Sometimes it does take a little bit longer, and I do apologize. But, you know, everyone says in government, things do move slow. So just bear with us. Just know that we do take everything to heart, and we are trying to fix it. That senior center parking lot, I can't believe that it even was at that state that it was at, that our seniors were trying to walk. Thankfully, no one was ever seriously hurt over there, but we're taking action. We're making it happen. We have that beautiful park being put in right now. Then soon we'll have a beautiful parking lot for the seniors. So then we can continue on our bingo nights. I call there every other Wednesday. It's so much fun. But I do hear a lot about the parking lot. So this was great news. Thank you. And then also next Friday, the 30th, one of our newest businesses in town, 21 Locks, they're going to have their grand opening weekend. We're going to kick it off on Friday the 30th at 12 p.m. right out front. To, again, welcome them into the community. We're so excited. I don't know if how many people have tried it, but please go down there and take a look, eat it. Eat there. The pizza there is wonderful. Oh my God, so good. So hope to see you all out there on Friday the 30th at 12 p.m. And then we'll have grand opening festivities Saturday and Sunday. And I think that's all. So everyone have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. And I was sorry, Scott. I was looking, Gary, do you know, I was about to look up, when Summerseat is having Patriots Day sometime in June. And that's
June 7th.
June 7th. June 7th is Patriots Day at Summerseat, so I would hope that everybody goes out and sees it. It's a beautiful building. You can take a look at Patriots Park and you'll see why we want to do something there.
Sorry,
go ahead,
one more
I'm sorry.
thing. Sorry, I did have it in here. I did just want to let you know. So I've been working with Jess Evans, who's our children's librarian over at the library, about the summer programs. And I am super excited to partner in with State Farm, Jeff Sawyer's office over on West Trenton Ave. I connected them two together, and they're now doing a sponsorship for one of the weeks in the summer. I also have two other people that are going to be sponsoring event or the week of the summer programs there for the kids. So thank you so much to Jeff Sawyer and Brittany Sawyer over there, who's their marketing director, for wanting to come and help the community that they serve. So thank you.
Scott?
The George that Gary referred to as our first president, George Washington, who you can catch over at Summerseat quite frequently. And that trail that he couldn't pronounce, I can't pronounce it either. But George Washington had to fight another battle tonight. Next month, he should be here for a presentation to explain. It's a 250th kind of themed trail from somewhere up north all the way down this way. And supposedly he researched it and it came through Morrisville. So that's all I know. He'll talk about it next month.
Any other council members? Nothing from anyone? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So move second.
Second.
Meeting over at 9:28 PM.